She opened the wrong door and walked straight into love and danger. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome to Fablethone. If you're new here, you've just joined the most incredible community of people who believe in love, second chances, and the power of a good story. And to my loyal family who shows up every single time, I see you, I appreciate you, and I can't wait to take you on today's emotional journey. Jada adjusted the tray of fresh towels in her hands, her curls brushing gently against her cheeks as she walked down the quiet hotel corridor. At just 23, she carried herself with a grace that made her stand out, even in the crisp uniform of a maid. She stopped at room 408, glanced at the checklist, and knocked politely. "Good morning, housekeeping," she called softly, her voice carrying the warmth of the Jamaican sun. Silence. She waited, then knocked again. Still no answer. With a hesitant breath, she slipped the master key card through the slot, pushing the door open carefully. But the moment she stepped inside, her world seemed to stop. There he was, William Hartfield, a man she'd only seen in passing through glossy magazines left in the hotel lounge. The young, striking CEO with golden blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and a body carved like a sculpture. He had just stepped out of the shower, water still tracing down his skin. Jada froze, her breath catching in her throat, her dark eyes wide with shock. The towels nearly slipped from her trembling hands. Her lips parted, but words tangled in her mouth. William's eyes widened at first, surprise flashing across his face. But instead of anger or arrogance, the kind she expected from someone of his stature, he moved with an unhurried calm. A faint smile tugged at his lips as he reached for a towel, draping it around his waist with effortless composure. I'm so sorry," Jada stammered, her cheeks burning crimson. She spun halfway toward the door, her curls bouncing as she shook her head in panic. "I knocked. I thought the room was empty. I didn't mean—" William raised a hand gently, his expression softening. His blue eyes, once sharp, now carried an ease that wrapped around her like comfort. "It's all right," he said, his voice smooth, reassuring. "No harm done." She dared a glance at him, and to her astonishment, he wasn't mocking her or scolding her. Instead, his smile was disarming, kind, even playful. He noticed the way her hands gripped the towels like a lifeline, the way her chest rose and fell as if her heart was racing. "You look like you've seen a ghost," William teased lightly, tilting his head. Jada's lips quivered into a nervous laugh, her embarrassment spilling into the room like a storm she couldn't control. "More like I just walked into the wrong movie scene," she whispered, eyes darting anywhere but him. William chuckled, the sound low and warm, and for a moment the air between them shifted. Less hotel maid and powerful CEO, more two strangers caught in an unexpected, almost intimate moment. With deliberate kindness, William stepped aside and gestured toward the tray in her hands. "Why don't you just set the towels down? I promise I won't scare you twice in one morning." Her fingers loosened, her shoulders eased just slightly, though her heart still fluttered like wings in a cage. And as Jada placed the towels on the counter, William studied her. Her long curls, the quiet glow of her brown skin, and the way, even in embarrassment, there was something strikingly beautiful about her presence. For reasons he couldn't explain, he found himself wanting to make sure she walked out of that room not in shame, but with her head lifted high. That night, Jada sat cross-legged on the small bed she shared with her younger brother, in their modest two-room house on the outskirts of Montego Bay. The wooden shutters rattled with the sea breeze, and the faint sounds of crickets filled the humid air. She untangled her long curls, her comb moving slowly as her thoughts drifted back to the moment in room 408. Her face still grew warm at the memory of William, tall, confident, unbothered, standing with nothing but a towel. She buried her face in her pillow and groaned softly. "How could I walk in like that?" she scolded herself. Yet, no matter how hard she tried to push it away, the kindness in his voice lingered. The way he had smiled at her, as if he wanted to ease her embarrassment, replayed over and over. Across town, William sat in the balcony of his ocean view suite, the glow of the moon reflected on his untouched glass of wine. But his mind wasn't on business, or even the luxury of his vacation. Instead, it was on her, the maid with the soulful brown eyes who had barged into his room by mistake. He had met hundreds of women in boardrooms, ballrooms, and across elegant dinners, yet none had left an imprint, like Jada had in those few fleeting seconds. "Why can't I stop thinking about her?" he wondered, tapping his fingers against the glass. 2 days passed. Both went about their routines, though thoughts of each other still lingered like shadows that wouldn't fade. That evening, William was driving back to the hotel in his sleek black rental car. The road was dim, the air heavy with nightfall. That's when he noticed her. Up ahead, a young woman hurried along the roadside, her arms clutched tightly against her chest, as if she was holding herself together. Her steps were quick, almost frantic. Behind her, 2 men in dark clothing followed, their voices low, their movements predatory. William's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He squinted, headlights catching her profile for a split second. His heart jolted. It was her, Jada. Without hesitation, he swerved to the side, pulling the car sharply to a stop just a few feet ahead of her. The sound of tires crunching gravel made her spin around, fear flashing in her eyes. The door swung open. William leaned across the passenger seat, his voice firm yet urgent. "Get in! Now!" Jada froze, her breath quickening. For an instant, she seemed torn, caught between fear of the men behind her and shock at seeing the very man she hadn't been able to stop thinking about. The 2 figures drew closer, their footsteps quickening. William's eyes locked on hers, steady, unyielding. "Jada, it's me. You're not safe out here. Get in." Something in his tone broke through her hesitation. With trembling hands, she yanked the door open and slid into the seat, her curls tumbling forward as she pulled it shut. The men shouted from behind, but William didn't wait. His foot slammed the accelerator, the car jerking forward as the headlights cut through the night. Inside the car, Jada pressed her back against the seat, chest heaving, hands clutching her uniform skirt. William kept his eyes on the road, but his jaw was tight, his knuckles white around the wheel. "Are you all right?" "Who were they?" he demanded, his voice low but edged with steel. Jada swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know, but they've been following me." The weight of her fear filled the air, but beneath it, something else lingered, something neither of them could ignore. For the second time in days, Jada found herself caught off guard by William. And for the first time in years, William realized he cared more about a stranger's safety than his own. William slowed the car to a stop in front of a small, weather-worn house at the edge of town. The porch light flickered dimly, and a little boy peeked out from behind the curtains, his wide eyes full of curiosity. Jada shifted nervously, smoothing her uniform skirt, embarrassed for him to see the simplicity of her life. "Thank you," she whispered, reaching for the door handle. Before she could leave, William's voice stopped her. "Wait." She turned, and for a moment their eyes held, hers cautious, his steady, sincere. "Can I see you tomorrow?" he asked softly. "Somewhere less dangerous? Just to talk, maybe over ice cream." Her lips parted in surprise. She wasn't sure if it was wise. He was a guest, a CEO, someone from a world far beyond hers. But something in his tone disarmed her. Her heart thudded. For reasons she couldn't explain, she nodded. Yes. As she stepped out of the car, she couldn't help but look back. For the first time in years, she felt the stirrings of something she thought her life had no space for. Hope. And William, watching her disappear into the doorway, knew his life of luxury had just met its first taste of something real. The next day, under the golden warmth of the Jamaican sun, Jada found herself sitting across from him at a small local ice cream shop by the beach. It wasn't glamorous. Wooden benches, paper cups, but the laughter that bubbled between them was more real than anything she had known in a long time. William leaned in with an amused smile as Jada tried to keep her melting scoop from dripping down her wrist. "You're terrible at this," he teased, offering a napkin. She laughed, the sound light, unguarded. "Maybe I'm just distracted," she replied, meeting his gaze for half a second before looking away, her cheeks warming. And for the first time since their awkward, embarrassing encounter in his hotel room, they both felt something deeper stirring, something that neither of them could quite explain, but neither wanted to let go of. Jada laughed softly as William wiped a smudge of vanilla ice cream from her lip with the corner of a napkin. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe. Light, even. His gaze wasn't like the other men she had known. He looked at her as if she were the only person in the world. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the Jamaican sky in streaks of orange and purple, Jada thought, maybe, just maybe, her life was changing. William reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. "This feels right, doesn't it?" he asked gently. Her heart fluttered. She nodded. "It does." The men in the shadows were forgotten for now. All that existed was the simple sweetness of two people sharing ice cream and the quiet thrill of something new beginning. But outside, across the street, a shadow lingered. Two men stood by a lamppost, pretending to smoke, their eyes fixed on the window where Jada sat, unaware. The laughter inside drowned out the danger waiting beyond. And as the night closed in, one chilling question hung in the air. What happens when the past you're running from refuses to let you go? What did you think of William and Jada's unexpected first date? Do you believe their love can survive the shadows following her? Share your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing your theories. And if you don't want to miss what happens in Episode 2, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you're the first to know when it's released. See you next time.